is Jane, and I am the mother of two wonderfully amazing children. My family is no different than any other family. We face the similar struggles and experience the same joys. The only difference is the fact that my wife and I are a same-sex couple. My wife Julia and I have been together for almost 10 years. We have a daughter Jessa, who is 5, and our son Jackson is 3. So in 2008, when California legalized same-sex marriage, we immediately had our dream wedding. After the honeymoon, we came home and we were like, now what? That's when we came to our decision that we were ready to become parents. We just didn't know how to make that happen. We first explored adoption, but we soon became frustrated after several agencies turned us down because we are a same-sex couple. We have the support of Julia's extended family and a vast circle of friends who all supported our decision to become parents via artificial insemination. We chose this method because it allowed us both to be involved in the pregnancy process by using the combination method. Like I mentioned earlier, we believe that we have a very normal family. In comparison, I was raised in a very dysfunctional household where there was very rigid gender roles, and I believe that Julia and I have achieved a great balance in our relationship where we share the responsibilities of being a parent. And I'm confident to say that our children have a loving and secure environment with which they can live in, and they are thriving. We are also very lucky to have a group of fellow same-sex families that live here within our community, and it is so great when we all come together to share and support one another. I'm not saying that our family or other families like us don't face scrutiny. There have been many times where we have been stared at in the supermarket. I even had a man approach me and tell me that me and my children are going to hell for living such a life of sin. When this happens, it is important for Julia and I to remain unafraid to be in the public eye, because we don't want our children to become fearful of being out in the community or to become afraid of being different. And I do feel that we are accepted by the larger community in which we live. This is something that definitely eases the fears that we have for our children. We don't want them to be bullied because our family is different. Recently, Jessa started school, and I was really terrified that she was going to be singled out or ostracized. But I found support from my fellow same-sex group, and they suggested certain schools in the area that promote more of an inclusive curriculum that promotes diversity and welcomes same-sex families. So we chose a school that was really accepting and that was a good fit for our family. And yes, I think that community and school both really affect the quality of life for same-sex families and children. And I found that children are not affected by the sexual orientation of their parents, but rather by the treatment they experience from the outside world. That is what really deeply affects them. So we constantly worry about our children and their future.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I'm 17 years old and I currently live with my single mother in an apartment. I planned on going to college after I finished high school to become a nurse. Funds are very low in my household with my mother, so I have a job currently at a local diner to help pay for everyday necessities. I had been saving money in order to help pay for college, although those plans have changed ever since I got pregnant by my ex-boyfriend at 16. At the time when I first found out about my pregnancy, I had so many thoughts rushing through my mind. I knew for a fact that abortion or the termination of my pregnancy was not the route that I wanted to take. This caused me and my boyfriend at the time and the father of my child to argue constantly because he wanted to choose abortion. He handled the situation in a very immature way and did not see my side of things. He was unwilling to look at alternatives. It was a topic that I was not going to change my mind on at all, no matter if I had to do it without him. My immediate thoughts were that I was going to give my child away for an open adoption, in which I would have to give away my parental rights of the child, although I would still be able to remain in contact with the parents and follow up on the child's development. Before deciding what route I was going to take, there were other factors that I wanted to consider before I made a decision. Education was obviously my main concern when I found out about the news, in which I began to do a lot of research. I learned that there were special programs available to me to promote the continuation of my education. The program I chose is called Even Start by the U.S. Department of Education, and they provide child care services during school hours. I learned that they'd also provide me with parenting and family life skills. I realized that if I could prioritize my schedule and my education, I'd be able to get it done. I also had to consider what I was going to do about my living situation once I had my child. Luckily, my mother was very sympathetic about the whole situation and was willing to help me a lot with my child. She did not kick me out of the house, and she told me that as long as I kept my job at the diner, my baby and I could stay at home. Once I figured out my child and I's living situation, as well as my educational pathway that I would take, I was ready to move on and begin to be happy about my new blessing. Currently, it has been a year since that time, and I have learned so much more than I could ever imagined. Before I had my child, I knew nothing about developmental needs that she had, and I never really had much interest in playing with children at all. I had seen television shows such as 16 and Pregnant and Teen Mom before I had actually gotten pregnant, which gave me some kind of insight into the challenges that mothers at such a young age face when having an unplanned child. Although looking back on it, many of those girls are becoming reality TV show stars for facing everyday problems that I face today. I did witness many issues that the girls face on the show, although I also view it as a sort of problem for the upcoming girls in our generation because they see that as they can become famous from the show. As for myself, I watched the show and it was good to see that I'm not the only one having troubles, although I took matters into my own hands. I took many parenting classes, read many books, and luckily I had my mother to help me. And I don't think she did too bad with me, so I trust her knowledge. Advice I would give to adolescents: be safe. If teens do choose to be sexually active, making sure that they use contraceptives like taking their birth control is so important. Being aware and knowing who they are sexually active with is so important as well. Adolescent pregnancy is not a negative thing like many people make it seem, although it does make educational, financial, and social realms of life more difficult, and growing up becomes way quicker for an adolescent pregnancy.
Hello, my name is Jane Smith. I'm 38 years old, married with 3 children. My children are 13, 9, and 3 years old. I'm a pre-K teacher at a child care development center. My husband, Ben Smith, has been disabled from his job for 3 years, being injured on his job. With one income in the household, bills have been barely getting covered, and spending time with my children is limited to only the weekends. Our family is at high risk for poverty and neglect of our children. In the past year, we have almost been evicted about 3 times. Without the help of our families, community, and friends, we would have to result in being homeless or living in a shelter. My husband helps take care of the children when he is sober and aware of his well-being. His alcohol abuse started from his depression from losing his job. Barely paying the rent, having food to feed our children, and dealing with my husband, I'm staying positive. As my husband looks for odd jobs in the neighborhood to help us have a hot meal to eat, we are barely able to feed our children decent meals. I'm thankful for my parents who have stepped in when my husband is unable to take care of his children and pull his weight around, and also my church family for assisting with food and my children's needs after school.
My name is Jessa, and I'm a member of a family system that is becoming a growing trend. I'm a single parent of 2 children, a boy, Joshua, who is 13, and a girl, Sarah, who is 7. I became a single parent due to divorce, but single parent families can also happen through the death of the other parent, desertion, separation, or birth of a child out of wedlock. The majority of single parent homes are similar to mine, where the mother has sole physical custody, but there are also some single parent families with the father as a custodian. Although there are many similarities, there are also many significant differences. For one, single-parent mothers tend to experience more economic and related employment issues. Before my divorce, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I also have fewer years in the labor force and only a high school diploma. Since assuming full custody of my children, I have less time for myself, as my children and work demand most of my time. Even though I know it is difficult for him, I have asked Joshua to step up and become more responsible, as he is now the man of the house. Prior to my divorce, I had gotten my children accustomed to eating healthy, but since there are some days when my children have to settle for fast food because I don't have time to fix a meal. There are days when I feel extremely stressed and pressured, but I am thankful to have the support of my family to assist me. Since moving to this new neighborhood, I have been able to form relationships with many of my neighbors who assist me with my children. I recently discovered a single parent group that gets together for outings, allowing the children and I to make some new friends. I also found a support forum online where I can go and ask questions or get helpful advice from other single parents. With all of the support and new relationships I have built, I feel confident that I can be a great single parent, and my children are also thriving.
My name is Jessica Brown, and I am a part of a blended family. I have two children that came from my previous marriage. I have a son, Reggie, who is 16, and a daughter, Sarah, who is 12. When I got divorced from my first husband, my kids, of course, were sad, and they thought that the divorce was because of them. It was troubling to see them go through that, but I had to do what was best for their family. So then I met my new husband, Nick, and now we have a new family. When we were dating, the kids didn't warm up to him too well. It took them some time to get used to having another male figure in their lives. Reggie, my son, took even longer to warm up because he's seen himself as being the man of the house. So Nick and I decided to move in together, and I thought this would erase all the tension because of how excited everyone would be to start making a new family. So when we moved into the new home, I thought it was going to be everything that I didn't have in my old marriage. I thought it was going to be perfect. Little did I know, the tension carried on. To fix this, I asked for support and guidance from a family friend that recently began a new blended family. She suggested that I started to make new family rituals and start to partake in family outings such as vacations and days in the park. We all got to see the true colors of each other and enjoyed our time. When we spent time with each other, the kids got to see how great Nick really is. Once the kids let their guard down and were able to trust, we really became a cohesive blended family. Even though it was a rocky beginning, being in a blended family is one of the best things that has ever happened to me.